Ms. Hunter do a roll call for us?
Mr. Woods,
Present.
Mr. Schaefer,
Present.
Mr. Vegas, Dr. Ford, Vice Chair Lewis,
Present.
Chair Thomas.
Present.
We have four present.
Okay, we moved on from the roll call. I'm gonna give everybody a couple minutes to review our minutes from last month's meeting, the September meeting. Let me know when you've had an opportunity to do that. Maybe everybody could look up when they're done.
Thank you.
Mr. Woods, have you finished with the minutes? Anybody want to make a motion regarding the minutes, approval of the minutes? Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Before we move on to item C, I have a couple housekeeping matters that I want to discuss very briefly. First of all, I want to begin by thanking the staff that is provided to us, Ms. Hunter, Ms. Lane, for all the work that they do for us. I know Ms. Lane is not here today, and Mr. Slezak as well. We depend on them. We don't have a full-time staff member. We depend on them, and I've always presumed that they have regular jobs that they do during the day and that they have to fit our work and their responsibilities to us in. But with that said, there were a couple little matters that came up that I really felt we needed to talk about. Last month, I noticed when we got an email from the ethics board. That's how our emails come to us. I see them, they don't come to us from Ms. Hunter or Ms. Lane, they come from the ethics board. And I brought a couple with me here today. Well, last month I noticed a name on there. I'm not going to repeat the whole email address, but I'm gonna give you the beginning of it. PATED, and then it was at AOL.com. And I looked at it. I don't even know why my eyes were attracted to it. Honest, I don't. But I looked at it and I said, Prosecutor Worthy has appointed a new member of the board. That's the first time I saw that name. And then I contacted Ms. Hunter and I contacted Mr. Slezak. I sent them an email. I said, did Prosecutor Worthy appoint a new member? And they said, no, they didn't. Well, that name was on there and that bothered me because with computers nowadays, if somebody's able to get into your computer, they can cause all kinds of problems for you. I had my secretary go into our emails that we received from the ethics board. And I tell you, that email address has been coming to us on every email that we get and on every email that we respond to since at least January and February of this year. So what that means to me, as I see it, a person who shudders in his boots over the thought of being hacked or having a computer virus put into our computer, whoever this email address belongs to, I'm going to pass this around real quickly. I highlighted the name. I don't know if anybody else noticed it in the past. But that individual, man or woman, has been getting all of our emails that we send back and forth. So when I send an email to the board members and I ask Mr. Longstreet to do something, whoever that person is, they've been getting a copy of it. To the best of my knowledge, there hasn't been any problem, but the second prong of my concern is that it took a couple months to get Mr. Regis on our email address. I had to write a couple times to you or Miss Lane and say, look, he's not listed on there. He wouldn't have gotten these materials that we're receiving. So noting initially that you guys do a great job, Miss Hunter, we're very, very fortunate to have you. We got to look into that. Somebody's got to come up with the correct list of email addresses that we need to be sending to. And I think that in the future, we all as board members have to take a look at who's getting these emails. Because if you respond, Dr. Ford, to one of my emails, or Vice Chair Lewis responds to you, this individual is getting all that. So what Ms. Hunter did, I think, for this month, she took that individual's name off there, but I think we all have an obligation to stay on top of that, lest somebody come into information that they shouldn't receive. And I say that even though everything we do is open to the public, everything has to be open to the public.
Just back to all the things that I told the board over the last year, all the things I said in my email, all the things that I said to Mr. Longstreet. So we'll have to be mindful of that. And I think, and I hope, it's not good since we
Now have the problem pointed out. We've taken some corrective action. We've got to make sure that Mr. Regis received everything so that I don't have to pester you and write it and say, Mr. Regis is not on here. And I guess the same would apply if we get a new member appointed by Prosecutor Worthy. If somebody, she appoints somebody. So at any rate, I thank you for all your diligent work, all your service, but we have to kind of stay on top of those types of things. So with that said, I want to ask Mr. Slezak one question because he notified me today that there's been a big hack of some type in Wayne County. Let me ask this.
Mary on this.
Okay, well, let me just say this. Maybe somebody might want to point out to some human being that works in Wayne County government that all of our emails have been going to an email address. And see, I don't want to accuse anybody of hacking this, but I think it should be reported, especially with what the county's going through now. So, does anybody else have any comments that they want to make? I passed around that email. You've seen it. Any other comments regarding what I brought up as unfinished business?
I'll make a comment. I just checked my emails. I don't see that in mine.
Well, it wouldn't be on for the last
I
several
went
weeks.
back a few months.
Did you? Well,
Yeah.
here it is here. Here it is here going back to February 20th. So
I didn't see that, but I would say maybe we could respond to see who it is. Maybe it's a former board member or maybe do a little research.
Well,
I
if it is-
didn't see it though.
I tried to Google it and nothing came up.
Nothing came up. Okay.
Yeah.
No name.
well, I don't know if Mr. Slezak.
Does anybody else see it in their email? Did you see it?
That was my only.
I'm looking now. I went back a few months and I don't see it. So I'm just want to make.
We found them just about all
I think
things.
at one point there was a appointed person appointed by the prosecutor, but the person doesn't know because they didn't live in the county.
Yeah.
That person was supposed to appear, that person didn't appear for the meeting. It was discovered that they were not in Wayne
Is
County
your mic
resident.
on?
They were
Turn it on
taken-
No, this goes back to February.
Understand?
It was around that time.
Is your mic on? Turn it on straight. Is your mic on?
No,
Thank you.
it's not. All I was saying is that at some point, the prosecutor did appoint someone. That person was to appear for the next meeting. However, it was discovered at a certain point that the person that was appointed by the prosecutor did not live in from the county, and that person was removed from the board. That may be the email, because I think the person's name was Patricia Edwards.
Oh, that would be.
I think it was
yeah.
Patricia Edwards was her name. She was the appointee for the prosecutor. The prosecutor found out that the person did not live in the county, the person was removed, and that could be that person's email.
Okay, I now see it. And now when I went back further. Okay.
I think her name was Patricia Pat
Yeah, I see
Edwards,
that.
Pat Edwards,
Yeah.
or Patricia Edwards.
So
that's the problem.
personally, that makes me feel much better, but I will tell you what,
Right.
we pulled out emails going back to September, October before, and then, September 16th and going back to February. So if everybody is confident that that is what happened, I feel much better about that now, and we need to spend no more time on it.
I'm just assuming, I don't know.
Well, let me ask this question, Mr. Slezak, we may not have records of that since the individual
I
never,
don't see it anymore.
since the individual never came on the board. would you be able to tell us at the next meeting, or just send us an email and let us know if this analysis, if Mr. Longstreet's hunch and Mr. Ford's hunch and Ms. Lewis's hunch is correct? Can you do that?
Through the chairs, Drew Slazak, we can try, but unfortunately, some of those records are inaccessible at the moment.
Okay, well, very good. We're not asking you to do it today. I think we have a handle on it. Maybe you could look into it and just let us know. Ms. Hunter, did you have your hand up?
I do. Chair, so through, so that email, PATEDW1A@AWOL was the former appointee of the prosecutor Warden's office.
Well, that's very good. That's very good.
I still don't think she
Just
should
check
have
the
received
emails.
all of our emails, but at least we know now, and at least she's been taken off the list. So with that, what we can do is move to unfinished business. Update from commission staff, raise the proposed ethics ordinance amendment status. Ms. Parisian, anything for us? Okay, well, thank you very much. That's a very short report. We can move on then. Item number 2, communication dated July 11, 2024, received August 1st from James and Helen Orsett regarding Wayne County Probate Court's alleged violation of Ethics Ordinance Section 40-4 through 40-6. Mr. Longstreet, can you give us an update on where we're at right now with that?
Yes, I can. On October 4th, 2024, I sent a letter to James and Helen Orsett pursuant to the motion of the board to ask me to ask for clarification in the complaint and ask for them to resubmit it. The letter was mailed on October, I believe, 6th, 2024. I have not received a response from Mr. James or Helen Orsett, and we have not received an amended complaint. So at this point, we are waiting for a response.
Waiting for a response, haven't gotten it yet. Anybody want to make a motion? Anybody want to make a motion to table this or to decide it today? As I recall, if you looked in the minutes from today, I had asked last month, rather than dismissing it at the time, that we give them an opportunity to clarify what it is they're complaining about and submitted an amended complaint. Anybody have a motion they want to make?
Before we, if I may, the complaint basically spelled out an issue with the Wayne County Probate Court. We don't have jurisdiction over the Wayne County Probate Court, regardless of whether they amend the complaint or not. There's nothing we can do with the Wayne County Probate Court because that is a state entity, not a county entity. So at a certain point, we'd only be able to send them a complaint and let them give us a response. But at the end of the day, we won't be able to address the complaint. So at any point where the complaint is going to be resubmitted, my recommendation to the board is going to be that the complaint will have to be dismissed because we don't have the jurisdiction. We can give them the courtesy of allowing them to respond and give them the courtesy of sending it over to the Wayne County Probate Court so their issues are somewhat addressed and they feel like someone has at least cared about what they're talking about, because I think it involved their son. So at least we can do something, send it over to the probate court so that at least they feel their problems were at least addressed. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to dismiss the complaint. So I just want you to think about that before you make any motions.
Well, if I could follow up with a quick question. Would it be your position that the prudent thing to do would be to put this over for a month to see if the people are going to respond, since you just sent it to them on October the 7th, I think you said?
Yes, I think it would be prudent to do so, because at the end of the day, we want to allow the citizens to redress any complaints they may have, and let them feel like someone cares about what their issues are. But the end result is going to be, I'm going to recommend that the complaint be dismissed for lack of subject matter jurisdiction.
Well, it's open for discussion now. Ms. Lewis, what did you want to say?
I agree. I think we should motion to dismiss the case based on it being out of our jurisdiction.
Well, I think that's a little different than what Mr. Longstreet is recommending. He's recommending, are you recommending that we give them more time?
But you said with a response.
I'm giving them, give them some courtesy, sure. But at the end of the day, my recommendation when we do give them the courtesy and they do respond, my suggestion to you is going to be dismiss the complaint for lack of subject matter jurisdiction, regardless of whether they send us a response or not.
Well, my concern is we wrote to them, we said you could submit a response. Did you give them a time frame in your communication to them?
I did not. I just simply indicated to them, your complaint does not specify a public servant you believe violated Wayne County Ethics Ordinance. Please resubmit your complaint to specify the public servant for which you have an issue. And our board will do our best to address your issues within our jurisdiction. Respectfully, Charles
I just like-
Longstreet II.
This complaint was received July 11th. It's now October.
That's
So I
correct.
think we've been more than generous with the time. And I agree, we should send something back to say, we refer this over to the Wayne County, where the complaint is, but I don't think right now just keep it open. I don't think they're responding. So why we just keep tabling it just for the same? I don't know. Anybody else?
Is that a motion, Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Any second for a motion or any more discussion?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, matter is dismissed. When you send them a letter letting them know about the dismissal, I would strongly urge you to say, look, we sent you this letter on this, we sent you this communication on the 7th and we never heard back from you.
I was
I'm
just
sure
simply-
you'll do that.
I will simply indicate that you have every right to resubmit your complaint.
Very good. Very good.
Through the chair, excuse me, Longstreet, may you send us a copy of that communication, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 2, communication dated July 11, 2024 from James and Helen Orset, Ray Wayne County Probate Court's alleged violation of ethics rules 40-4 through 40.
Okay, we're on number 3.
Pardon me?
We're on number 3.
3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I apologize. Okay, item number 3, communication dated August 22nd, received September 3rd from Tanya Wells regarding Wayne County Clerk's Office alleged violation of the Ethics Ordinance, Section 40. Chair Thomas asked if this matter was under the Ethics Board's jurisdiction. And Mr. Longstreet, I got to ask you to bring us up to date on that because we got a lot of materials in the packet today that I ran yesterday from the Orsets.
Now we're on Tanya Wells.
Pardon me, Tanya
Number
Wells?
3. That's what
I
we're.
apologize. Could you bring us up to date where we're at on this?
Yes, I can. We received a complaint from Ms. Tanya Wells indicating there was a violation of the Wayne County Ethics Ordinance 40-8, which is the whistleblower statute within our ordinance. The complaint indicates that she was a candidate for a Republican candidate for the 4th District State Representative. She filed a candidate affidavit with the Wayne County Clerk. And she indicated due to some political influence that she was wrongfully removed from the ballot. However, she indicated it was under the whistleblower statute, which is not applicable to the complaint in which it's not applicable to the facts in which she's complaining about. Secondly, the county clerk has sent us a response to her complaint indicating that Ms. Wells did file a candidate affidavit with her office. However, Ms. Wells owed some money for $300. She had from when she ran in 2016, she had not paid that fine, and the clerk indicated she properly removed Ms. Wells from the ballot based on the fact that she was ineligible to run due to her failure to pay the fines. At this point, I believe that Mrs. Wells before I go any further, a letter was mailed out to Ms. Wells because she indicated she only wanted to be contacted by mail. A letter was sent out to her to allow her to respond. She has not sent a response back. That also was sent on October 4th, 2024. She has not sent any additional information supporting her complaint. However, at this point, the whistleblower statute is not applicable to the facts in this case. And because the whistleblower statute is not applicable to the facts in this particular complaint, my recommendation to the board would be to dismiss this matter because it's not applicable. Allow Ms. Wells to refile her complaint with any proper with a proper statute number. But at the end of the day, I would recommend that the complaint be dismissed because it's not applicable.
What about the timing, sending it to her on October 4th and saying you can submit a response?
Well,
I mean, today is the
16th.
16th. So I guess it's up to the board to consider whether that was sufficient notice. I don't have a problem with the recommendation. Anybody want to make a motion?
In the letter that we sent, did we give a time?
7 days.
Okay, that's 7 days.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion
Abstain.
passed.
Okay.
Motion to dismiss?
Yes. And they're gonna be told that they can resubmit at a later time if they want.
Thank you.
All right, under new business, we do have a little new business. Ms. Lewis and Mr. Longstreet both attended the City of Detroit Ethics. I don't know if it was a seminar, it was a meeting, and there were other counties that were present.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, would you be kind enough to give us an update on what you might have heard or learned at that conference?
Sure, sure. Yes, we attended with a few other board members. The 2024 Regional Ethics Conference was Thursday, September 12th. They had ethics training, writing opinions and decisions, how to increase disclosure. We also talked about Robert rules, which was a very enlightening discussion. And also we talked about ethic hot topics. I can't remember all the people that were, but I think Lansing was there. Was it Macomb County?
Macomb County was there, Birmingham was there. I believe East Point was there, East Point City Council was there. Wayne County was there.
Yes, it was a great board, a great meeting. Also, our own council was there, Felicia Johnson. So it was a great meeting. I have a few takeaways and a few suggestions. Some of the things that kind of popped up was for Detroit, they're required to go through training every year. It's built in their program, and that's something that I want us to do to get that going in 2025. They also talked about making it a priority every year. Also, we talked about the detailed definitions in your ordinances. Also talked about creating some standard work. So how, we have the ordinance, but we don't have standard work on how to operate the ordinance, sort of how we should be handling our meetings so everyone can be trained. And just in case you have to chair a meeting, you kind of know how to chair it and how to review the ordinance and any complaints that we have. Anyone like to add anything else that attended? Did you have anything?
Oh, I do. I think it's a good idea to do the countywide training. Because I believe the city of Detroit went to all the departments and they spent about an hour and a half training every employee on the Wayne County Ethics Ordinance and what's included in the Wayne County Ethics Ordinance. I think with that, we might wind up getting more complaints, which ain't a bad thing.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we are a part of checks and balances in the county government. And I think the Wayne County Ethics Board is an important piece to keeping politics clean. So with that being said, I think the more people know about the Wayne County Ethics Board and Wayne County Ethics Ordinance, the more that we can be effective in keeping things ethical within Wayne County.
Did anybody else attend that conference? You did? Mr. Ray, just want to turn the floor over to you. Tell us about your experience.
Your microphone.
I think Ms. Lewis kind of summarized it. The Robert's Rules was very interesting.
Yes.
Gentleman gave a presentation on conducting meetings and the rules, and that was very effective, I think.
Yes, Mr. Henderson, and he's actually a professional in this area, so I definitely want to continue to engage with him maybe in the future to come in and do some training. I want to recommend a subcommittee where we meet and start to develop a training program for our ethics board.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
That's to my knowledge, that's the first time that anything like that has been proposed. I will tell you that if that's a yearly seminar or conference, I'm going to certainly try to make it in the future. If there's things to learn, we all got to try to learn.
Yeah, just a camaraderie, and we talked about some hot topics like enforcement challenges, no power of authority to remove officers and things of that nature. So it was very light, need to share some of the experiences that we have as a board and sort of unite on things and sort of have some lengthy discussions on resolutions.
You know, and they did speak about that one organization that the city of Detroit's a member of.
The national organization
Yes.
that had a conference, I believe this coming up
November.
month. November conference in Los Angeles.
They have a conference every, I think, November or December that the city ethics board goes to.
Ms. Johnson, would you like to add anything? She was one of the speakers on the panel also, so I'd like to acknowledge her also, but yes, it was a great discussion. So more to come on that. If anyone would like to volunteer to be on the subcommittee, let me know, and then we'll start meeting. I would like to get started next month, so we can have some things in place first quarter of 2025.
Well, who's gonna volunteer?
Did they mention the process, the subpoena, power?
Nobody really has subpoena
Nobody
power,
has.
none of them.
Did they talk about that?
We talked about that in one of the first meetings, especially when we talked about enforcement. That a lot of the Wayne County, a lot of ethics boards across the area didn't have much power in regards to enforcement, enforcing people to present documents. The city of Detroit had issue in regards to asking for documents from the mayor that we couldn't get. So yes, the issue of subpoena power was and enforcement was an issue that was spoken of at the conference.
I think it's my understanding that the city of Detroit ethics board does have subpoena authority.
They do, and they also have an investigator, and they also have a budget for an investigator.
Yeah, they have a big budget.
Any other comments regarding that? And then let's talk about who's gonna volunteer to be on Ms. Lewis's subcommittee. Mr. Woods, Mr. Ford, Mr. Rages.
I'll volunteer.
You volunteer? So we have Rages. Who else? And Mr. Woods. You have three.
We have three, good, because I think we only can have
We
four.
can only have three.
We only can have three, including myself,
Pardon me?
including myself, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were some things that I found that were interesting, because there's some things that we do that I discovered that wasn't necessarily proper, like seconding motions. Indicated you don't need a second motion with a small board. You just simply present the motion and vote on it. There's no need for it to be seconded. So I found it to be interesting, because I thought that it was proper to second a motion. That was something that was new.
And that's under the small boards,
That's
because we're
correct.
considered a small board. The Robert rules are different and a little lighter than probably what we've been doing.
Yes.
Well, in the time that I've been on here, under the current chair, we've always done that. If at some juncture you wanted to do a letter or an email to us stating that it wasn't necessary, but I'm not convinced at this point in time that I
No,
would like to adopt.
it's not.
It's not improper. I'm just saying that it's something that we learned.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we actually adopt that. I mean, while if the wheel ain't broke, they'll fix it. So.
So that ends my report. Thank you so much.
Okay, and we have three members. We have three members, Ms. Lewis, Mr. Rages, and Mr. Woods. And of course, Mr. Longstreet would have to
Attend, yes.
participate in that.
Also, do we have a date in which the first meeting should start? That should be a discussion.
No, what is everybody's pleasure for schedule and time? I mean, I was gonna send out an email
Okay.
and then I'll have an update at the next meeting.
There you go.
All right.
All right, item E.
Excuse me,
such
Mr.
other-
Thomas.
Yes.
Can we have a vote, motion second for the subcommittee?
Okay, I'm gonna make the motion. I will make a motion that Vice Chair Lewis had a subcommittee consisting of herself, Mr. Woods, and Mr. Rages to, what shall we call it, Ms. Lewis, training,
Yeah.
future training?
Future training.
Yeah.
Future training
of board
subcommittee.
members. And it would be timely because presumably at some point in time in the near future, or maybe even early next year, Prosecutor Worthy will appoint a new member and they'll be coming on brand new. So if that happens, this will be very timely. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
All right, let's go item E, such other matters.
Sorry, who's second?
I'll second.
Yes.
I'll
Second,
Thank
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Such other matters as may be properly submitted to the board. Did anybody else have anything else in the way of a matter that we should be discussing here today? If you have something, we'll hear it. And if not, we're ready to move on to public comment. Anybody have anything? Let's move on then Public comments. Do we have anybody on Zoom or any emails that you received, Ms. Hunter?
1 second. We have received no emails and there are no hands on Zoom.
Okay. Well, then we move on to item G, adjournment. Anybody want to make a motion concerning adjournment?
I motion for adjournment.
All in favor? Aye. None, any opposed? None? Motion passes. We're adjourned.